Hi, welcome to another edition of the Alan Rosenberg Show. It is 7:40 Eastern Standard Time. I only got home from work about an hour and 15 minutes ago. Put my computer on, and I got a special video request from our legendary New Orleans subscriber and commentator, David Kunsley. He said, you got to do a tribute to Brian Wilson and Sly Stone. And you know what? You're right. I'm exhausted, tired. Got to go to the firehouse in a little while. But I'm going to do it because it's actually pretty amazing. Sly Stone passed away Monday. Brian Wilson passed away today. They were both 82. That's a coincidence. And honestly, even though they're very different, there's a lot of similarities. So it makes you wonder, man. It's kind of weird timing. But let's start with Sylvester Stewart, better known as Sly Stone. And he passed away Monday at the age of 82. Really interesting story. How did I discover Sly and the Family Stone, Sly Stone? Probably like most people watching Woodstock, the movie. I wasn't there. I was only 6. But this is the Laserdisc. And considering the amazing artists that they had at Woodstock, one of the ones that really stood out was Sly and the Family Stone. I mean, their performance in Woodstock was incredible. And of course, I have the album as well, and they're on the album. But their medley, you know, with the Higher, and it's just extraordinary. And they had all the outfits, and they were great. And Sly and the Family Stone is so unique, man. Really, to this day, to a certain extent. I mean, they started around 1966, but they were so unique. For one thing, an interracial, mixed racial band, which was pretty cool back then, pretty cool now, but definitely even interesting then. And not only that, but a mixed gender, you know, back when there was 2 official genders at that time. So they would play soul and rock and gospel and funk, and Sly and the Family Stone did it all. And they had that great look and really, really popular over time. Now, I don't have all of their albums, but I have actually a decent amount. You know, I got this one, A Whole New Thing, which came out in 1967. Actually didn't chart in America, and you can see there's not really any really big famous tracks on it. But it's real good. I like Sly and the Family Stone. But then they did Dance to the Music, the album, which I don't have, but of course that's on the Woodstock soundtrack. And then they did Life in 1968. And, you know, as famous as these albums are, this album only peaked at 195. That's right, I checked out my database has the chart positions. That's how I remember this one. But then they really started becoming more popular. You're talking around 1969, Woodstock, and legendary album Stand. And this is a really great record, classic album right there. Want to Take You Higher, some songs I'm not going to mention. But right there, song number 6, Everyday People, which was a #1 classic, later covered by Joan Jett. Everyday People, so amazing. You know, even the lyrics, the yellow one don't accept the black one, different strokes for different folks. You know, it's so catchy. You just want to dance to it and groove to it, but the lyrics are great, and he's really commenting on society, but in such a positive, funky, catchy way. Really not easy to do that, and Everyday People from Stan, just amazing. There's a Riot Going On. I don't have that one. That was a #1 album after that one. So just that was, I think, 71. That one came out. But what often happens to people, rock stars and musicians, they start getting really, really popular, and you get a lot of pressure, unfortunately. And Sly Stone, like a lot of people, started dabbling and getting addicted to soft drugs and then really heavy-duty drugs, and had some internal pressures within the band. I know Larry Graham and him had issues, and they start becoming a little bit less successful. They had some outside pressures from, I know, militant black organizations and things like that on Sly Stone, and wanted them to lean more that way. And all of that stuff led to a big downfall for Sly Stone. But while the magic lasted, let's say 69 to like 71, man, they were on fire. In fact, correct me if I'm wrong, I think he got married at Madison Square Garden at one of his concerts, which is pretty interesting if I remember right. That it just popped into my head, I'm pretty sure. But he started really young, you know. When they started the band in '66, he was like in his early 20s. And, you know, he lived all the way with his lifestyle and everything he went through. He lived all the way to 82. Died on Monday. If you don't know, this is a great album to get. Sly and the Family Stone's Greatest Hits is a classic, and you got 12 tracks on there that everybody knows. I mean, every song on this album is great. Hot fun in the summertime. Thank you for letting me be myself. I don't mean to sing terribly, but these are great songs. Great summer songs. You know, this is the kind of weather here where you just want to put Sly and the Family Stone and dance around and bop around. And if the 12 songs is not enough for you, get something like the essential Sly and the Family Stone. And now you got a whole load of great tracks. And yeah, he's really good. I actually got 5 albums by Sly and the Family Stone, which is pretty good for me. So definitely highly recommended to get some Sly and the Family Stone, at least the greatest hits. You'll love it, man. You'll just love it. So today, Brian Wilson passed away at the age of 82, same as Sly Stone. Pretty amazing. Now, what do you say about Brian Wilson? Kind of similar arc to a certain extent to Sly Stone. You know, started really young, really early. Remember the Beach Boys, they started, really, their first album was before the Beatles and the Stones. What was Surfin' Safari had to be like 62. Beatles were like 63. Stones maybe the very beginning of 64, their first album. So the Beach Boys were really ahead of the game and totally unique, really becoming, you know, later on America's biggest band. I mean, they're America's band all of that time. And Brian Wilson, obviously kind of like a Pete Townsend kind of figure. He's the main songwriter. He's the producer. He's the engineer. He's the creative genius. And he is the leader of the band. And really what you would call a musical genius, no doubt about it. I have never been a huge Beach Boys fan. I just don't listen to them very often, but I certainly appreciate them. And I'll tell you, my memory of first hearing the Beach Boys really, you know, everybody knows their big hits, but I'll never forget it. 1974, they released a double greatest hits album called Endless Summer. Actually hit #1 in the States. And it was the kind of album that literally everybody had. And I'll never forget, so 1974, I was born in 63, so I was 11 years old. And I'll never forget, I was like in gym class. And if we were working out and had to run around, they would put albums on. Somebody brought in Endless Summer and was playing it while we were working out in gym. And it was awesome. Like every song was those classic Beach Boys songs. And it was just great. And that was really my entree to the Beach Boys. I never really became a huge, huge fan. I am more than happy for me to have like a greatest hits album. That's the one I have that I listen to. And then I have, that was not enough, so I got the Beach Boys More Greatest Hits Volume 2. Really, you know, their songs are short, so you get a lot of songs on here. So what do I have, like 40 songs on these 2 discs, give or take? And they sound great. And when I'm in the mood for the Beach Boys, that's really all I need. I do have another compilation, selections from the 5 CD box set, 30 Years of the Beach Boys. I actually bought that box set, but I didn't keep it because for me it was just too much. But this is a cool collection because it's got deep cuts and outtakes and things like that. And then the one Beach Boys studio album that I kept is Pet Sounds, which I actually really like. Obviously, this is a classic from 1966. McCartney says it was heavily an influence for him. But, you know, some people say it's not as great as, well, I'm not saying it's the greatest album of all time, like a lot of people put it up there, but it's actually a really, really great listen. I mean, it doesn't get any better than God Only Knows. I mean, that's Wouldn't It Be Nice? Powerline, no. Yeah, it's a great, great album, for sure. Pet Sounds. But Brian Wilson, kind of similar to Sly Stone, but didn't last as long. So to say the Beach Boys' first album came out in '62, he stopped performing live with the Beach Boys like late '64, early '65. He had a mental nervous breakdown. He just couldn't handle the pressure of being the songwriter and the producer and the driving creative force in the band and performing. So he gave up performing and said, you guys perform the stuff live, and I'll just be the behind the scenes Svengali, so to speak. And that was early in his career, '64, '65. Pet Sounds came out in '66. The Beach Boys kept going, different lineups, but Brian Wilson didn't get any better and just got really enveloped in drugs and hard drugs. And then some interesting things like the Eugene Landy story, the shrink that moved into his house and a sandbox in his house, supposedly. But, and later on, people were going after Eugene Landy because he became like a business partner with Brian Wilson, and they said he overstepped his bounds. The reality is that, Brian Wilson always thanked Eugene Landy for saving his life and said if it wasn't for him, he would not be really around anymore. So, I guess he really did save his life. And Brian Wilson wound up living, that was '76. He just died today at the age of 82. So, of course, he showed wear and tear and had that kind of facial droop and kind of spoke funny. Not to be cruel. It always reminded me when I saw Bill Murray in, what the hell is that movie? Caddyshack. And I always thought he was kind of imitating Brian Wilson. I'm not saying he was, but they kind of spoke similar. You listen to Brian Wilson talk, and it was kind of like that. But Brian Wilson obviously suffered the effects of all that drug and alcohol intake, but survived. And Sly Stone survived all the way until the age of 82 for both of these guys. And they left their mark for sure. Two legendary performers and songwriters and unique, and went through troubles that was similar for both of them. So my little hats off to Brian Wilson and Sly Stone, and I am a fan of both, moderate fan of both. But funny, I got more Sly and the Family Stone than the Beach Boys. Go figure. No, it's funny. Brian Wilson's daughters they are Carney and Wendy Wilson, and they did Wilson Phillips. With John Phillips' daughter. I actually like Wilson Phillips. I just thought I would throw that in because I'm sure everybody out there would be shocked to say, ooh, Alan Rosenberg likes Wilson Phillips, but I kind of do. I actually bought this CD for my wife. That's her kind of music. But I was like, man, this is pretty good. So maybe they got a little talent. Some of the talent from Brian went to their genes as well. I just figured I'd mention that. I don't know. Why not? Anyway, David Kunsley, thank you for forcing me to do this 2-on-1. You wrote me a really funny note, but I'm not going to read it. I thought it was funny, but I don't know. Maybe not everybody would find it funny, but I liked it, David. Like your sense of humor. Anyway, thank you so much. If you're new to my channel, hit subscribe. And we're at that age, as I said, we do these tributes. And unfortunately, I imagine it's just going to keep coming because we're at that age. So I guess it's true. We really got to appreciate these rock stars while we still have them because we don't know how much longer we're going to have them. Anyway, thanks so much again. Hope you had a good day. I'm exhausted. And I'm going to post this thing now, and I'll see you next time on the Alan Rosenberg Show.